Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is the Mental Wellness channel with Waihiga. If you're new here, I hope that you stick around and take a listen to what I have to share. Today, I want to talk about the Bob Marley movie, One Love. I want to talk about this. So let's get into it. Today, I went and watched the Bob Marley movie, and these are my thoughts about it. First of all, I'm a huge Bob Marley fan. Huge Bob Marley fan. So I was probably the only person, I was the only person in the theater that was screaming and singing all his songs. I was just going mad. Like it was a full-on concert. Full-on concert. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I was really scared going into the movie because I thought that the acting was gonna be really bad. I really thought that they were gonna mess up the acting. But the acting was actually really, really good. The man who played Bob Marley was excellent. He did really well. Nothing cringeworthy about his performance. The woman who played Rita, really, really good as well. Everyone was just on point with their parts. Everyone was good. Acting was great. I actually don't have much to say about the acting. The person who played Bob Marley, it's almost as if he took on his persona. And I'd be interested to know if he did like method acting or what type of acting he did, because he really got into the energy and the spirit of Bob Marley. I believed what he was selling. He was giving Bob Marley 110%. And I've watched many Bob Marley documentaries. I've seen all the movements, the little things that he used to do on stage, and the little head turns and the things he do with his dreadlocks, and this actor did the exact same thing. So he studied Bob Marley really, really well, and it came off on screen. Rita's accent was really point on, and I could feel emotionally very connected to her. I felt very sad for her. I felt as you should feel for Rita, you know. If you know anything about Rita's story and what she went through being married to Bob Marley, you would feel for Rita as well. So she was very convincing. Her performance was very good. My critique of the movie, it was number one, it was too short. Way too short. I think it was 1 hour and 8 minutes. Definitely way too short. Second of all, because it was produced and made by the family had such a huge role to play in terms of the making, the producing, the directing, and everything of this movie. Even the music was handled by the family, I think by Stephen Marley, but the music was top notch. So everything was controlled by the family. This movie was gate kept, but obviously by the family. So the story was omitted. There were parts of the story that were omitted. There were a lot of things that were not talked about in the movie, like Cindy Breakspear, or all the different affairs that Bob Marley had during his lifetime. Bob Marley had so many children. He had like allegedly 22 children. Did they all come from Rita Marley? No.
I can remember we had this Exodus album, and he was doing this song that I found that he wrote about Cindy. So when he just met Cindy, and so I'm saying, what?
It has been said that all of those love songs on that particular album were written at the time when we were at the height of our relationship. And I know he was heavily criticized for it. And I remember him.
He married Rita Marley on paper. And when they first got together, they were in love. But after Bob and the Wailers took off, and if you know anything about Bob Marley's story, after Bob and the Wailers took off, Bob Marley and Rita Marley were basically over. And this movie tried to make it seem like Bob and Rita had this never-ending unconditional love that stood the test of time. And if you listen closely to Rita Marley's interviews, you would see that it's not true, it's not accurate the way that they try to paint this love story of Rita and Bob in the movie, and of what Rita says she went through with Bob Marley in the years that she was married to him. In the years that she was married to him, you get the sense that he was a lover's boy, he was a philanderer, he was a married man having affairs, and They were married in the beginning, yes, dedicated in the beginning, yes, but then the more he grew popular, their marriage didn't matter to him. And after a while, Rita was expected to actually take care of the children that Bob Marley sired with other women. That was crazy. Rita was became like his sister, I think. In real life, Rita became his sister and someone like he leaned on heavily. Definitely was not this long lost love that we are married, husband and wife, we never worked out because of our differences, because fame got in the way, but we at the core of each other still love each other and are lovers till the end. Because that is not what happened in real life, and that's not the vibe that I got from hearing Rita Marley's interviews over the years. I get the impression that she suffered, and she was in love with a man who got rich, got famous, and had the world at his feet and did that. I mean, Bob Marley lived in uptown Kingston, in that house in Hope Road, where he met his mistress, alleged mistress, Cindy Breakspear, who then became Miss Jamaica in the Miss World competition. I think the year was 1976 or something like that. That house that Cindy Breakspear was renting, she was renting a room out of that house, upsides of Kingston. Bob Marley ended up buying that house. In the movie, they made it seem like Rita Marley lived in that house. And that's not true. Rita didn't live with Bob Marley. Not the years that he was famous, at least. Not the years that he was doing his things. Definitely not. Rita, I don't know if she still lived in Trenchtown or where she lived, but she definitely did not live with Bob Marley in that house on Hope Road in uptown Kingston. That's where him and Miss Cindy Breakspear lived, allegedly. And then when he went to London to escape from Jamaica and to just exile Jamaica, he was again with Cindy. The only times that Rita was really around him was when she was in the band with the I3s, the Bon I3, the three eyes, the ladies who were singing, because she was part of them. But this whole thing of they lived together, they were best buddies, I think it's a very false narrative. And I think the family was really trying to push it hard, like they had this unshakable bond that I think is just not true. Yes, when Bob was passing away, Rita Marley was there. And Rita Marley has been there.
We got a long time. We took care of him in the same apartment in New York when he first fell ill. I would hold the fort, she would go out. She would hold the fort, I would go out. And she was the one who said to me, you can crash with us if you want, I'm using that room, you and Damien can be in there. And listen, by that stage, this is not about romantic jealousy. This is about watching somebody that you clearly understand is great. The kind of greatness that comes along once every 200 years maybe, I think is the time frame that they give it. And you're watching his life being sucked out of him bit by an illness. This is no time for petty jealousy. It's just not the time. And obviously we both felt that way.
How well did you and Rita get along?
We got a long time.
To take care of his estate, to handle his affairs, ever since he's passed away and onwards, for sure. And she's done a damn good job of it. She really has. But to paint this false narrative that they were more than they were, it's just a bit off to me. So that's what I thought of it. I thought it was a great movie. I really wish that they had spent more time. I wish it was like 2.5 hours. He has so much great music. I wish we knew how each album, each EP came along. I wish that they took us through the making of Catch a Fire. I wish we knew how everything came together. I wish they took us back to Trenchtown and his days of growing up in Trenchtown and in being born in St. Anne Parish and living with his grandparents. How did all that unfold, being with Sandella, coming all the way to Trenchtown? really struggling, meeting Peter Tosh, and then forming the Wailing Wailers. That was a very short part of the movie. It wasn't really built on, elaborated on. It's almost as if you had to know Bob's story to understand how that fit into the story. All in all, I was very surprised at the acting and I enjoyed the acting. It was good. It was good for me. I would say 8 out of 10. I just wish it was longer. Loved the music. And I have to tell you this. Why I love Bob Marley so much is because Bob Marley made me believe in God. On a very serious note, Bob Marley is the reason that I believe in God. 2022 was one of the worst years for me. And I've always enjoyed Bob Marley, but in 2022 I really dug deeper into his music. And every time I listen to his music, I just feel so calm and serene and connected to God, like a spiritual thing is happening. So the more I investigated Bob Marley and I found out that, he's into Rastafarianism and all of that, Hail Selassie, I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I realized that Bob Marley read the Bible. And that interested me. I was like, okay, if Bob Marley read the Bible, randomly, let me just start reading the Bible. I started finding it interesting that he believed in God. If Bob Marley can believe in God, then what's the harm in me trying to pursue a relationship with God? And somehow down that windy, long road, here I have my relationship with God. And now when I think of or I hear Bob Marley songs, it just takes me back to that feeling that I used to pursue God. Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below. Have you guys watched the One Love movie? What do you think about it? Are you planning to watch it? For me, Bob Marley is one of the best musicians ever. And it's not just because he was extremely talented, but because he was extremely inspiration and it transcends generations. I mean, I was born in 92 and this man's music is living. So, and changing lives and inspiring. So, let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, bye-bye.